I'm here to remind you about having a life that you love and on your own terms and how to make that happen. Um, as an educator, what I have seen is that traditional schooling has major impacts on how people view themselves. And oftentimes, those are negative views of themselves. Um, when you're young and you enter traditional schooling, you start being labeled, maybe even as smart, but oftentimes not smart, slow, um, bad, having the inability to sit still or pay attention. We are given a lot of titles from well meaning people. But what happens as a youngster, as a young person, we don't really have the cognitive ability to decipher what is truth and what is not. So we accept it as truth. And pretty soon it becomes embedded in our psyche, deep down in us, and we believe it. We create paradigms or belief systems about ourselves, and we think they're truth. And what happens is these belief systems start to shove us in little boxes and move us further and further from who we really are and from who we can be. And we start to think that someone else's voice is more important than our own. And as an educator, I just could not believe this phenomenon that I kept seeing over and over happening. And I moved through the grades. I started out with the young children and moved up to college. And so I was able to see this progression. What I'm here to remind you is when you are living a fully empowered life, that you do have control over your own life. You decide who you are. We all came into the world with certain gifts and talents. And oftentimes, because of these experiences, we forget who we are. We start not believing in ourselves and not backing ourselves and not seeing ourselves in control of our own lives. And this plays out in our personal relationships with our significant others. It plays out with our families. It plays out in our jobs, even in the jobs that we go after and how we see ourselves. It plays out, these paradigms, these beliefs are so prevalent and so strong that it plays out in every aspect of our lives. And before you know it, you may think that you don't have control over your life. Maybe not consciously, but that's how you're operating. You think your boss has more say over you than you do, or your partner. And it's just not true. And what I want people to wake up to is their full potential. And it only takes looking at these paradigms and seeing, are there false belief systems that you've been allowing to control the way you view your life and act in your life? And if so, those belief systems can be rewritten by you. This is the really, really good and exciting news, is that you do have the power to be who you came here to be. And when that happens, you start living from a very empowered, confident self versus someone who thinks life is happening to them. And I'm here to remind you that life is actually happening for you. Whether it's good or bad experiences, there is wisdom in all of it that you can take and seize to help you grow and go to the next level. But it does all begin and end with the belief systems about ourselves. So the good news, again, is that you have the power to look at your personal belief systems and discard anything that isn't fitting who you know you are at your essence, at your core. And then you can adopt your own belief systems and back yourself and start creating a life of joy and abundance. That is a promise.